Pi Network has had many major updates and upgrades on Pi today, and there's a new function that has caused a great deal of misunderstanding for most of us, the staking feature. We at Pi From Us were also under the impression that the increased PiCoin score was a return on our investment for locking up our PiCoin assets. After all, who would lock up their PiCoins for nothing in return, right? But the truth is, staking Pi coins in the Pi ecosystem applications is merely a way to show our support for that application. You will not be rewarded with any additional Pi coins. The increase in PiCoin is only symbolic. It's a bonus point added to the application when users choose to trust it for a longer period. We apologize for the initial misunderstanding. Truly, Pi Network is unique. It's unlike any other project. In the future, we will gradually get used to things like this. And another new upgrade is that the interface of the Pi Network ecosystem is now very modern and intuitive. Visit your Pi browser now to see this wonderful change. Now, exchanges or Web3 wallets that have passed Pi Network's KYB will be listed and ranked based on the number of Pi staked for that application. In Web 2, you can rate an application freely without any cost, which can lead to inaccuracies. But in Web 3, you have to stake Pi coins to rate an application, which makes it much more realistic. Of course, application owners can completely stake their own Pi coins to increase their application's ranking. From here, PiCoin has gained more practical usability. All the major upgrades of Pi today are an affirmation of the network's growing maturity, a digitized strategic map where Pi Network is no longer a project of dreams, but a technology platform that is expanding its borders. From browser to ecosystem architecture. In the Web 2 era, people didn't care what a browser was. They just needed it to access Google, YouTube, and Facebook. But Web 3 is not just about passing through. It's about living in it. Web 3 has no specific address, no central server, only doors that open to a distributed ecosystem. And Pi Browser in its development is becoming the interface of a new digital nation. The way the Pi core team has restructured the interface this time is a message. Pi is not just a digital currency, but an axis connecting people, services, and the blockchain. There, the three new structures are not just a user interface, but a model for organizing power and operating the entire decentralized Web3 economy. Home, the foundational infrastructure of a digital nation. The Home section is the residence of Pi citizens. Functions like KYC, Fireside, Chat, Mine, Brainstorm, and the Pi App Studio are not just tools, they are institutions. KYC is no longer a procedural step, but the law of digital citizenship. A person without KYC cannot become a citizen of this economy. Fireside, where the Pi core team speaks directly to the community, is an open parliament, where the executive interacts with the populace without committees or meeting rooms. Mine is still there, a spiritual symbol. It doesn't generate much new Pi anymore, but it is the flag, the symbolic act that has maintained the bond since its launch. Most importantly, the Pi App Studio is the Ministry of Labor and Industry of this nation. There, every citizen, even without programming knowledge, can create applications, offer services, and establish decentralized businesses. No need for fiat startups, no need for investment funds. If you have an idea and a community that stakes Pi in your favor, you can start a business. A nation where every person is an entrepreneur, that can only be Pi. In the second layer, Pi Apps is the marketplace, the city streets, the place for real life and interaction. Projects like Fruity Pi, the Pete to Go, and Pi Shop are no longer experiments, but operating businesses with users, real staking, and real money flowing through the blockchain. Here, the staking mechanism acts as a social credit scoring system. An application with many people staking Pi in it means it has value. It gets to the front page, it has cash flow, it has credibility. No longer dependent on 5-star votes like the App Store, here, trust is transactionalized, recorded with real staking, real assets. This mechanism turns all users into market critics. There's no longer an application review board like in Web 2. The community itself decides what lives and what dies. From a sociological perspective, this is a model of economic democracy where each person has a share of market power, and that power is exchanged through tokens. Services, the gateway to the world. This is the turning point. Previously, Pi was a closed space, true to the closed network philosophy to protect its purity from speculation. But now that the ecosystem is strong enough, now that its internal capacity has matured, Pi is opening its doors. The services section is divided into 3 groups. Exchanges. This is where Pi comes directly into contact with the traditional monetary world. There are already CEXs that have officially listed Pi, and the Pi core team has also prepared a space, like a seat set for a coming guest. This is a step in preparing the market psychologically, not just technically. Web3 wallets. This is where Pi users can connect with the outside blockchain world, including Ethereum, Polygon, BNB chain, and more. When you can connect Pi browser with MetaMask or Wallet Connect, it means you are no longer confined within the Pi world. You step out, but you bring your identity, your community strength, and the staking value you have accumulated. Bridges. This is the strategic engagement part. Bridges to Ethereum, Bitcoin, or other major networks like Cosmos and Solana will open up possibilities for wrapped tokens, cross-chain liquidity exchange, and multi-network smart contract interaction. Once Pi is wrapped onto Ethereum, it becomes a component that can be plugged into all the world's largest DeFi systems. Pi from an independent ecosystem will become a global component. From interface design to strategic design. Many people look at the interface and only see buttons, icons, and menus. But those who have followed Web3, lived on the blockchain, and witnessed the failure of thousands of crypto projects will see that it is a very foundational architecture. It's not just a UI. It's how the Pi core team expresses its development strategy. Home is for internal governance, for building endogenous institutions. Pi apps is the decentralized market economy, regulated by the community. Services is for globally integrated trade diplomacy. This is a structure like a nation, comprised of internal affairs, development, and integration. And the Pi browser is the digital constitution, the strategic map guiding over 100 million citizens living there and welcoming many more immigrants to come. Pi doesn't scream about public sales, doesn't make overnight declarations about timelines, and doesn't release flashy white papers. Everything Pi does is clear, but in steady, solid steps. It's the kind of deep roots, quiet growth that nourishes the soil rather than showing off its flowers. This interface update didn't come with a boisterous live stream. There were no chants of "we are going to the moon." It was just a technology update, but a very global one. Anyone who is discerning enough will understand the runways are complete and the flights are about to take off. The question now is not whether Pi can go far, but whether its users have the right mindset to accompany it on the journey. In this new ecosystem, each person is not just a consumer, but a creator. You don't need to write code, but you do need to write down your dreams, build a community, choose the right social problems, and persistently stake your spirit in your project. Pi has rearranged the map. The question is, have you determined your coordinates yet? There are moments in the history of technology that no one pays attention to, but in hindsight, people understand that they were the hinges of an entire era. When Apple launched the App Store, no one imagined it would change the world. When Google created Android, people thought it was just a game to compete with iOS. But then, they reshaped the way people live and work. This interface update of Pi browser could be such a moment, an update that later, when the Pi ecosystem grows strong, we will look back and say, it was here that everything began to take the shape of a true Web3 nation. Pi is not an application. Pi is an architecture where the people are in charge, an architecture where data is not manipulated, an architecture for ordinary people to step into an extraordinary world through belief and small daily actions in a very Pi way.